born as a boy, came home and said, hey, so I want to talk to you guys. I think going forward, I'm ready to live my truth. And I want to be referenced as she and her. I would love for you guys to call me Zaya.
For her to be able to see so many members of her community, of our community, that she's looked up to, that have inspired her, that have held her down, had her back, is pretty huge. And there's not too many moments where I'm, as a parent, where I get to deliver.
Do you feel broken about what's going on today?
I feel broken, I feel hurt, and again, I had to go to God. I always resort to go back to God because I had to ask God why. The things that has happened to my grandchildren, the things that has...
Welcome back to StarHush, where celebrity drama hits harder than primetime TV. And today's tea, it's giving full-blown soap opera energy. The spotlight is back on Dwyane Wade, but this time, it's his ex-wife, Siobhan Funches Wade, stirring things up. And she is not holding back. She's just launched some bold accusations, and let's just say, the name Gabrielle Union is all over this latest chapter. According to Siobhan, Gabrielle hasn't just been a stepmom to Zaya, she's allegedly been calling the shots when it comes to Zaya's personal life. But it doesn't stop there. Siobhan says she's got evidence backing her claims, and now she's accusing Gabrielle of trying to benefit off Zaya in ways that have fans doing a double take. She even claims Gabrielle's influence might have played a role in pushing Zaya into uncomfortable situations, and says it's all been done in the name of financial and public gain. Now, to be crystal clear, these are serious allegations, and they've got people split, some defending Gabrielle, others calling for more answers. What's even wilder is that Siobhan says Gabrielle has been emotionally influencing Zaya, to the point where it's driven a wedge between Zaya and her birth mother. It's giving major control vibes, and people are wondering what's really going on behind the scenes. Zaya recently turned 18, and you'd think things would calm down now that she's officially an adult. But according to Siobhan, it's far from over. She's claiming that Gabrielle is still influencing Zaya's decisions in ways that some are calling inappropriate. She's even raising eyebrows by saying that Zaya has been encouraged to build connections with older people, and she's placing that responsibility at Gabrielle's feet. Now look, even though 18 is the legal age of adulthood, we all know maturity doesn't flip on overnight. In fact, scientists say the part of the brain that controls good judgment and decision-making isn't fully developed until about age 25. That means someone fresh into adulthood can still be easily influenced, especially by someone they trust. Now, here's where things start getting real murky. Legally speaking, Zaya is 18, so her dating someone older wouldn't break any laws. But that doesn't mean people aren't raising eyebrows. Her mom, Siobhan, is saying it's not just strange, that she's placing the blame directly on Gabrielle Union, claiming she's the one guiding these situations from behind the scenes. And just a couple weeks ago, Zaya actually made a public comment that added fuel to the fire. She said she loves telling Gabrielle all the details about who she's dating, but doesn't do the same with her dad, Dwyane Wade, and her reason. Dwyane's apparently way too intense. She said, "My dad, he tries to scare any person I have interest in. He's kind of intimidating. The people I've dated have all been afraid of him in the first interaction. He's gigantic and he has this deep, booming voice." That right there shows a clear difference in how she views Gabrielle versus Dwyane. And her mom is now suggesting that Gabrielle might be using that closeness to steer Zaya into relationships that don't make sense. Now, what exactly Siobhan saw or heard to make her feel this strongly, we don't know. But she's claiming she's got proof that Gabrielle's involvement has crossed a line. And she's not backing down from those claims. She's accusing Gabrielle of being manipulative and even referred to her behavior as weird. And while that might sound extreme, especially to fans who've seen Gabrielle publicly support Zaya for years, Siobhan is standing 10 toes down on what she believes. And let's be honest, on the surface, Gabrielle Union has always appeared to be a strong support system for Zaya. She's treated her like her own daughter, shown up for her milestones, and always spoken highly of her. On Zaya's birthday, Gabrielle even posted a heartfelt tribute saying, "Your transparency should be studied. They say parents show their children the way, but you've been the one to show us what true strength, vulnerability, and love look like. At just 18, you've already taught the world what it means to be brave. Your courage lights the way for so many, and we're beside you every step of the way." That kind of love sounds solid, right? So how could Gabrielle possibly be the one doing something shady? Well, here's where things take a strange turn. You might remember those old rumors about Gabrielle and Dwyane being involved in some off-the-wall behavior behind closed doors. Jaguar Wright, known for calling out Hollywood secrets, once claimed the couple hosted wild private parties, including some that supposedly had bad energy going on at their home.
They ain't doing as much, I guess, now because they're getting older. I guess it just moved over to the Wade house. I'm not saying that because of their daughter. I'm saying that because of the artist that I just spoke to not that long ago that got invited to a party at their house. Everything was cool up front till they went to the back and there was a bunch of old and boys back there, all in the Wade house. So I find it funny that Gabrielle's sitting there talking about boots.
But hold up, moment doesn't stop there. In another explosive interview, Siobhan went even deeper with her claims. She alleged that Dwyane Wade had once expressed personal struggles about identity, suggesting that he may have wanted to explore being transgender himself, but never followed through because of outside pressure and fear of public reaction. And here's where it gets even wilder. She claimed that instead of living out his truth, Dwyane allegedly encouraged Zaya to transition so he could somehow experience it through her. That's a heavy accusation, and it's definitely got people divided. As if that wasn't enough, she also claimed he was involved in some questionable celebrity circles, even saying he used to attend exclusive parties tied to Diddy, events she described as highly inappropriate and surrounded by secrecy. She claimed Dwyane tricked them, though what exactly that means has left fans scratching their heads. As wild as all this already sounds, it's not the first time Dwyane Wade has been at the center of this type of talk. A while back, the blogs were buzzing with rumors that he allegedly stepped out on Gabrielle Union. And not with just anyone, but reportedly with someone who identifies as transgender. One blog claimed Dwyane is very close to a woman, not Gabrielle. He was spotted getting very close to her, speaking to her in a way that looked more than friendly. I was there for 2 hours and they were locked in the whole time. Now things got even more complicated when it came out that this person was actually a male-presenting cross-dresser, not a woman. That twist had fans confused and sparked all kinds of speculation. An insider claimed that Gabrielle was allegedly aware of what Dwyane was doing and was getting tired of having to play along with his double life. Meanwhile, Gabrielle's social media started adding more layers to the drama. She posted cryptic messages on Instagram like, "When clarity, truth, and transparency are present, there's only room for evolution." Then on Snapchat, she shared a clip of Zaya with the caption, "I'd do anything for her peace." That had fans wondering. Was she talking about the ongoing chaos behind closed doors? Now, back to Siobhan, because she's been making some serious accusations about what's driving all of this. She believes Dwyane and Gabrielle's heavy support of Zaya isn't purely from the heart. According to her, it's connected to their own personal motives. She claims Dwyane is living through Zaya, using her journey as a way to express parts of himself he's never been able to explore publicly. And when it comes to Gabrielle, Siobhan says the stepmom-daughter bond between her and Zaya, which always looked close and genuine, might not be as pure as it seems. She believes Gabrielle's attention towards Zaya was partly about public image, claiming Gabrielle wanted the same level of praise and visibility that Kim Kardashian got when she was seen as a supportive figure in the LGBTQ+ community. But instead of putting her own biological daughter Kavya in the spotlight, who's still way too young to grasp any of this, Siobhan alleges Gabrielle turned her focus to Zaya. She says Gabrielle slowly influenced Zaya over time, planting ideas and encouraging certain thoughts until Zaya embraced a new identity. To be very clear, this is all Siobhan's side of the story. Whether it's true or not, we don't know. But what we do know is that the public is watching closely, and Zaya is now caught in the middle of a storm she didn't ask for. With so many opinions and cameras on her, people are concerned about how all this is going to affect her mentally and emotionally. But according to Dwyane Wade, the story is much simpler than all these conspiracy theories. He says Zaya has always known, deep in her heart, who she truly is. He shared that she found the courage to speak up when she felt the time was right. And from that moment on, he and Gabrielle made a choice to stand beside her, no matter what came their way.
Zaya, early on, she was the one who sat down with us as a family and said, "Hey, I don't think I'm gay, right? I identify myself as a young lady." But she's known that for 9 years.
She's known since she was 3.
She's known since she was.
Let's take a moment to break down exactly where Siobhan Funches Wade stands in all this. Because she's not just calling out behavior, she's pointing fingers and shaking the whole table.
at 3 years old, like I said, when me and my wife looked at each other, right? And the reason we looked at each other is because of this, you know, as kids, I used to put on heels. I used to do all those things. I try to put on whatever my sisters wear. When all my sisters did, I try to do those things.
She's made it crystal clear that she believes Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union are not being honest about what's really going on behind the scenes. In her view, they're carefully shaping Zaya's journey to fit a narrative, one that brings them attention, praise, and public support. She thinks it's all about protecting their image, not necessarily about protecting Zaya. And similar to the comments made by Jaguar Wright, Vaughn is hinting at something deeper going on. She's suggesting that Dwyane might be projecting parts of himself onto Zaya, maybe even trying to express things through her that he hasn't dealt with himself. Let's not forget, Dwyane has previously talked about experimenting with different styles and gender expression, which, while harmless on its own, has now become part of the public's speculation. And with all the buzz building lately, people are asking, has Dwyane ever wanted to explore a different identity himself? Could his strong support for Zaya be connected to something more personal? These are the kind of questions Vaughn is putting on the table. And whether people agree or not, her words are definitely turning heads. But what's really getting to her, according to her own words, is the feeling of being completely cut off from her daughter's life. She says that during Zaya's transition process, both Dwyane and Gabrielle made moves to push her out entirely. And in her version of events, Gabrielle played a big part in that. Vaughn claims Gabrielle wasn't just stepping into the role of stepmom, she was trying to take over completely. She says it felt like Gabrielle wanted to erase her as Zaya's mother altogether, not just co-parent. She describes it as full-on isolation, not just family tension. It wasn't just a case of miscommunication or messy logistics. Vaughn says Gabrielle did everything in her power to block access, control the schedule, and basically decide when or if she could even see Zaya. That level of control, according to her, it was personal. And just when you think the drama stops there, Vaughn dropped another bomb. She says this power struggle goes way back. She claimed Gabrielle was allegedly already getting involved with Dwyane while he was still married, and that from the very beginning, she had intentions of putting distance between Vaughn and her children. Things only get more intense from here. Vaughn Funches Wade claims that Gabrielle Union didn't just step into her role as a supportive stepmom. She allegedly went above and beyond to shape a specific public image. According to Vaughn, Gabrielle worked overtime to present herself as the loving, stable influence, while portraying her, the biological mother, as bitter, unstable, and out of the picture. And in Vaughn's view, that strategy worked. She believes Gabrielle's been controlling the public perception for years, while she herself was silenced, judged, and kept out of the family picture, despite just wanting to stay connected to her children. So while Zaya was in the middle of discovering herself and navigating one of the most personal transitions of her life, her mother says she was pushed to the sidelines, shut out of the process completely. And if you've been watching closely, you might remember the moment this tension burst into public view. Dwyane Wade announced that he was moving forward with legally updating Zaya's name and gender on her official records. And that announcement made headlines everywhere. Behind the scenes, Vaughn was not okay with it. She made it known that she didn't agree with such a major life change happening without her full input. She felt this was something both parents should have discussed in depth, not something decided without her. But instead of having that conversation, she says Dwyane and Gabrielle flipped the script, accusing her of being unsupportive and labeling her as someone who couldn't accept her own child. The narrative quickly took shape, and before long, many people began to believe she was the problem. What made the situation even more strange was how fast Dwyane went public. He's usually private when it comes to family matters. So for him to speak on something this sensitive, that quickly raised questions. And according to Vaughn, it was no accident. She believes the whole thing, from the timing to the messaging, was a strategic PR move, carefully designed to protect Dwyane and Gabrielle's reputation while casting her in the harshest light possible. In his official statement, Dwyane wrote, "If this is how parenting works now, I guess I need to respond here. I recently saw a post accusing me of pressuring my child to become someone she's not or make decisions she didn't want to make." He said it was disappointing to even have to respond to such claims. This situation is packed with emotion on both sides, and it all came to a head when Dwyane Wade publicly responded to the backlash. In his statement, he said the accusations weren't just false, they were harmful. He wrote, "These are serious claims that have hurt our family. No one in our home would ever force Zaya, or any of our children, to do something they didn't want. This isn't about control, and it's definitely not a game. I will not stay silent and let my role as a father be disrespected. From his side, the decision to support Zaya came from love and protection, but Siobhan Funches Wade sees it differently. She insists it was never about rejecting Zaya's identity. In fact, she says she's always supported her daughter's journey towards self-discovery. Her real concern was the timing, and how fast everything happened when Zaya was still so young. Siobhan believes decisions like a legal name and gender change should have waited until Zaya turned 18, when she could make those moves on her own without anyone potentially influencing her. And she has a point. At that age, Zaya wasn't legally allowed to make those choices without a parent's approval anyway, so from her perspective, what was the rush? But there's another layer to this. Siobhan also took issue with how Gabrielle Union allegedly handled everything. In her eyes, this wasn't just about supporting Zaya, it was about Gabrielle seeking attention. She believes Gabrielle leaned into the spotlight, using Zaya's journey to build her own public image instead of giving her stepdaughter the space and privacy she deserved. Transitioning is a deeply personal process, and for someone going through that as a teen, especially in the public eye, it can be overwhelming. According to Siobhan, instead of protecting Zaya's peace, Gabrielle and Dwyane allowed the attention to grow, even amplified it. From that point of view, the family became part of a conversation that may have been more about publicity than privacy. And ever since Zaya publicly shared her identity, the internet hasn't been kind. The amount of online criticism and negativity Zaya's faced has been intense, and she's still navigating it while just stepping into adulthood. Siobhan said that's exactly why she wanted to take things slower. She believes that moving forward with legal changes so quickly and putting Zaya front and center made things harder for her daughter, not easier. And what really added tension? Siobhan's claim that Gabrielle and Dwyane stood to benefit financially from Zaya's public journey. She suggested they were aligning with companies and media platforms in ways that could potentially profit from Zaya's story, which to her crossed the line completely. Siobhan didn't stop at her emotional concerns. She also raised serious red flags about the business side of all this. According to her, there were conversations and contacts about marketing opportunities connected to Zaya's transition, including potential brand deals with major companies like Disney. She expressed that she felt pressure was being put on Zaya to finalize her legal identity, not necessarily for personal reasons, but to open doors for endorsements and media partnerships. In her words, she believed the momentum behind the legal changes might have had more to do with financial opportunities than anything else. She continued, saying that during a conversation, she was told Zaya was going to become a very public figure because of her transition, and that several companies were reportedly already interested in signing her. Zaya, who was also part of that conversation, apparently acknowledged that brands were circling, with Disney being one of the major names mentioned. Now that kind of statement definitely got fans talking. Plenty of people online began to share their own opinions, some siding with Siobhan and feeling like Zaya had been rushed into the spotlight too early. One person commented that they always felt Gabrielle had a heavy influence over Zaya's path and said, sometimes Zaya just looked uncomfortable in public appearances, like she wasn't really feeling it. Another fan added, Gabrielle seemed too eager to step into a parenting role that wasn't hers from the beginning. It always felt like she was guiding the show instead of letting the parents figure it out together. Others brought up Gabrielle's image changes, saying her whole vibe seemed different once all of this hit the headlines, with one comment claiming she appeared more intense, like something deeper was going on behind the scenes. While these are just public opinions, the conversation didn't stop with fans. A few celebrities have even added fuel to the fire. One controversial moment came when rapper Boosie publicly called out Dwyane Wade, accusing him of using Zaya's story to gain attention. He didn't hold back, suggesting that the whole situation had been turned into a media moment rather than a private family decision.
I gotta say something about this shit, bro. Dwyane Wade, you gone too far, dog. That is a male. They don't even know what their next meal gonna be. They don't have figured out.
Things really hit a boiling point when Boosie, known for stirring the pot, took his opinion public. He made a controversial plea, urging Dwyane Wade to slow things down with Zaya's journey. He argued that she was still young and might have a completely different perspective as she grew older, even suggesting she could fall in love with someone unexpected in the future.
He might meet a woman, anything at 16 and fall in love with her. But his be gone. How you gonna, like, bro, you going too far, dog. Don't cut his bro. Like, bro, for real. If he gonna be, let him be. But don't cut his off, bro.
His comments caused a storm, and it wasn't long before Gabrielle Union fired back. She clapped back hard, telling him to stay out of their personal business and stop inserting himself into family matters that had nothing to do with him.
So preoccupied.
Yeah, he is, very much
Almost like thou doth protest too much, little booze.
I'm gonna look.
You've got a lot on your mind.
So here's where things really start to split the internet. Gabrielle Union has been getting tons of praise online for standing by Zaya and being a powerful presence in her life. People are calling her the ultimate stepmom, saying Zaya is lucky to have someone in her corner who's riding so hard for her, especially in such a public spotlight. Gabrielle herself has fully leaned into that role. She even shared an emotional post saying, "I'm lucky to have Zaya as my bonus daughter. I didn't give birth to her, but I've never felt more deeply connected to anyone. I've never felt more of a purpose as one of the adults in our village, standing 10 toes down, sometimes behind her, sometimes beside her, and sometimes in front, leading." But while some folks see Gabrielle as Zaya's rock, Siobhan Funches is clearly seeing a different side of the story. And she's not keeping quiet about it anymore. She's been sounding the alarm for a while now, claiming that what looks like unconditional support on the outside may actually be something more controlling behind the scenes. Now that Zaya is officially 18, Siobhan is done playing it safe. She's calling out Gabrielle for allegedly stepping way too far beyond her role, even saying that she might be pushing Zaya into situations that just don't feel right. That's a big accusation, and it's definitely got the internet talking. But the real question is, who's telling the truth? Is Siobhan just venting years of frustration from being pushed out of her daughter's life? Or is she actually shining a light on something deeper and more calculated? Is Gabrielle the empowering stepmom fans believe she is? Or has she become too involved in things that should have been left for Zaya to figure out on her own? You tell me. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm seriously curious to hear what you think about all of this. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss the tea. I'll see you in the next one, my stars and hushes. It's only getting messier from here.